looking at notes 6.3, which are on surface area and volume of prisms and pyramids. Before we do anything with the notes that we have here, I just want to make sure that you guys have your formula sheet easily accessible, so that way we can refer back to it when needed. So your formula sheet that looks like this right here, so that way we can use any formulas that we need to use. So the first question that we have says, a modern example of a pyramid can be found at the Louvre in Paris, France, the museum. Okay, the glass squared based pyramid with a length of 35 meters and a slant height of 27.8 meters was built as an entrance to this famous museum. So the first thing it asks us to do is to calculate the surface area of the pyramid, including the base. So first thing I'm going to want to do is draw a picture of what this is going to look like. So a square-based pyramid consists of a square base with 4 triangular sides. So here's one side right here, here's another side, and then if I were to draw it in, you can see right here that the base is now a square, and this right here creates, you can kind of see all 4 sides of my triangle. My pyramid, excuse me. So then it says it has a slant height of 27.8 meters. So right here, this is 27.8, and it has a side length of 35, and that means that all the sides around are going to be 35. Okay. And to find surface area, remember surface area just means the outside, not what fills in on the inside, but the actual material on the outside. So how much material is required to create the glass pyramid? How much glass is required? So in order to figure this out, I have to think about all the different surfaces that I have. So my surfaces consist of a square base, and 4 equal or congruent triangles. Okay, and I know that they're congruent because the base right here is square. Okay, so to find the surface area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area of the square plus 4 times the area of the triangles. Okay, so in order to figure that out, I'm going to find the area of the square first. So the area of the square is equal to, and you know what, actually, I'm not going to write this out on the side. I'm just going to put it over here. So the area of the square is equal to 35 times 35, because it's just the base times the length times the width, and they're the same. So it's 35 times 35, or 35 squared. Plus, to find the area of a triangle, I'm going to do base times height. So remember, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. And we also know that because it's written right here, base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. So the base is 35 and the height is 27.8. So I'm going to do 35 times 27.8. I'm going to divide that by 2, but it says that I need 4 of them because there are 4 triangles that are the same size. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. So let's go ahead and do some calculations. If I were to do 35 times 35, I end up getting 1,225. And then if I were to do 35 right here, I'm going to calculate what's inside of here right now. Okay, so if I were to do, 35 times 27.8 base times height divided by 2, I end up getting 486.5, but I've got 4 of those. So I'm going to write 4 times 486.5. Okay, so then this ends up being right here. So I'm just going to pull this up right here. It's going to be equal to 1225 plus, I'm going to calculate what 4 times 486.5 is. And I end up getting 1,946. So I'm just going to add those two numbers together. And I end up getting 3,171 square meters. And this is square meters because we're talking about area. Even though it's surface area, it's still area. So it's going to be square meters because it's a 2-dimensional calculation. Okay? Now, really quickly, I just want to go back to our formula sheet. And it says that we can just use, see how it says 4 times the triangle plus the area of the base? So we can just technically write 2bs, where b is the base length, s is the slant height, plus b squared. So let's go ahead and write that out and see what we end up getting if we were to do it that way. So the formula sheet says surface area equals 2bs plus b squared. Okay, so I end up getting 2 times the base length, which is 35, times the slant height, which is 27.8, plus the base squared, which is 35 squared. Okay, now to do follow order of operations, I would do 35 squared, which we already figured out. 35 times 35 is 1225. Right? And then after I do that, I would do 2 times 35 times 27.8, which is 1,946, which is what we got before. Added together, you get 3,171 square meters, either way. Okay? And you're essentially doing the same thing, either method, but I want to make sure you are understanding where this formula is coming from. Okay? All right, now it asks us to find the volume of the pyramid. And let's look back at our formula sheet right here. To find the volume of the pyramid, it's the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Okay, so in order to figure this out, I'm just going to do the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Now the base is a square. Okay, so I'm going to say that it's 35 times 35. We already found the area of the base square is 1225 right here. So it's 1225 times the height. Now the height is not the slant height, it's the actual height of my pyramid. So this is where things get a little bit trickier. So remember, the height is always going to be from the center of the pyramid up to the vertex right here. So this right here is the height. 27.8 is just the slant height. So if you notice, if I draw that in, I get a right triangle right here, which means I'm going to need to use Pythagorean theorem. So if you guys can see, my right triangle is this triangle that we have highlighted in yellow right here with our right angle box right there. Okay, so so this is my right triangle again, and I want to figure out how big the height is. If you guys notice right here, the slant height is 27.8. So if I were to draw this triangle out on the side, it would have h here. This would be 27.8, and this value right here is half of the full width of my square base, which means that I have to divide 35 in half to figure out what this length right here is going to be. So it's 17.5. So to find the height, I need to use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to say h squared plus 17.5 squared equals 27.8 squared. So then, I'm going to square 17.5. And I get 306.25. So I'm going to say h squared plus 306.25 equals, and then I'm going to do the same thing with 27.8. I'm going to square it, and I get 772.84. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract 306.25 from that to get the h squared alone right here. So I'm going to subtract 306.25, and I end up getting 466.59. So I get h squared equals 466.59. And then in order to solve for h, I'm going to square root both sides. So I get h is equal to 466.59 square rooted, which is about 21.6. So now we know our height is about 21.6. So I'm going to take the area of the base, which is 1225, times 21.6, and then divide that by 3. So I'm going to take my answer, multiply it by 1225, and then divide by 3. My final answer is 8,820 cubic meters approximately. So my final answer is 8,820 cubic meters. Okay? Number 2, chocolate is sometimes packaged in a box that is shaped like a triangular prism. Question A, calculate the amount of material required to make this box to the nearest centimeter. So for this question right here, I want to actually not use the formula sheet and use our brains and some common sense to figure out the amount of material required. So when it asks for the amount of material required to make this box, it means find the surface area. So I'm going to find the surface area of all the different faces that I have in my shape right here. So if you guys notice, if I were to look at the shape, I would see that I have two triangles on the bottom that are the same. Okay, so the area of two triangles, plus I have one rectangle on this side over here. So here's one rectangle, okay? I have a second, actually let me highlight it. So I'm going to have one rectangle right here, which is highlighted in yellow, okay? And then I'll have a second rectangle, which is the one that's highlighted in green. So you can see my second rectangle right here. And then I have a third rectangle, which I'm going to highlight in blue. Okay, and I want to calculate all three areas. So so essentially what's going to happen is it's just going to be the two triangles plus three different rectangles. Sometimes they'll be different, sometimes they'll be the same. In this example right here, because this is 5 and this is 5, some of our rectangles will be the same, okay? So let's find the area of our yellow rectangle first, okay? So right here I'm going to say rectangle 1, and I'm going to highlight it in yellow so we can see that this is the first rectangle that I'm looking for, okay? So rectangle 1, the area to figure that out is the height times the base times the height, and the base is 6 and the height is 5, so it's just going to be 6 times 5, which is 30. Okay, then I'm going to find the area of the second rectangle, and the second rectangle is the one that I have highlighted in green. So I'm going to find my second rectangle's area, and that has a base of 6 and also a height of 5, and sometimes it'll be the same and sometimes it won't. It's the same because my triangle here is isosceles. Okay, then I'm going to find the area of my third rectangle, which is the one that I have highlighted in blue. Okay, so what's the base of this rectangle right here? It's going to have a base of 8 and a height of 6, or a base of 6 and a height of 8. It doesn't really matter. So 6 times 8 ends up giving me 48. So I found my three different rectangles. Now I want to find the area of my triangle. Okay, now to find the area of my triangle, I need to do base times height divided by 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure that out right here. Again, I'm going to highlight it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So the area of my triangle right here, it has a base of 8. It has a height of 3, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So I end up getting 24 divided by 2, which is 12. Okay, so here, to find my surface area, I'm going to take two of my triangles right here, which have an area of 12. So it's going to be 2 times 12, plus my three different rectangles. So I've got 30 is my first rectangle, 30 is my second rectangle, and 48 is my third rectangle. So I end up getting a surface area is equal to 24 plus 30 plus 30 plus 48. Okay, and when I add all of those numbers together, 24 plus 30 plus 30 plus 48, I end up getting a surface area of 132. So I can say right here, therefore, you need 132 square centimeters of material to make the box. Okay, so that's my answer to this question right here. Then it says to calculate the volume of the box to the nearest cubic centimeter. So in order to find the volume of any prism, no matter what, it's always going to be the area of the base times the height. That's all I have to do whenever I have a prism, okay? So, and it doesn't matter what shape the base of the prism is going to be right here. In this example, the shape of the base of my prism is a triangle. So we're going to say the base is a triangle. And the way I know is because it's the two surfaces that are parallel to each other. So the triangle here is parallel to the triangle here, which means those are our bases. And we found already that the area of our base is 12. So the volume is just going to be 12 times the height of my base. And the height is the length that connects my two parallel bases to each other. So it's going to be 12 times 6. So the area is 72 square centimeters, or cubic centimeters. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to make sure you guys understand for this question is the fact that you have this formula right here. So it says B equals BLH divided by 2, where B is the bottom of your triangle, L is the height of your triangle, and H is the height of the whole entire prism. So right here, let's try this out and see what ends up what we end up getting. So here, the area, or sorry, the length of the base of my triangle is going to be 8. The length of the height of just this triangle right here is 3, and then the height of the prism is 6 divided by 2. And if I were to do 8 times 3 times 6 right here, I end up getting 144. And then if I take 144 and divide that by 2, I will get 72 cubic centimeters. So either way it will work. We ended up getting this 12 just from this 8 times 3 divided by 2, and then we multiplied by 6 at the end. Okay? All right, guys, the video's gotten long enough, so we will take up number 3 as a class. So I hope you have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.